Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Today's workshop is about making mugs using Sublimation, the Sawgrass printer, as well as a Cricut Mug Press. I'm going to show you two ways to design your mugs using either the Cricut software or the Sawgrass software. So you'll get two options there. Let's just talk for a minute about sublimation. Sublimation is the process of heat transferring a design from paper to a blank. So in this instance, the Sawgrass 500 printer prints both legal size as well as regular size, letter and legal. So it prints both sizes, and it uses special sublimation paper as well as sublimation inks. Now, your Sawgrass printers are exclusively for sublimation. So if you're looking for something to up your game, the sublimation is definitely a game changer. So you want to have the special sublimation paper and the inks. What happens is the inks are specially formulated, so you can't just use your regular printer and put sublimation ink in your regular printer and then print. The inks are specially formulated, and the way that they go through your printer, like the tubes and such, it would damage a regular printer to put those in there. So let me see if I can turn that down a little bit. So you want to have an exclusive printer that does your sublimation. Then you have sublimation paper, and the sublimation paper is specially designed to work with the ink in the special printer. The sublimation paper holds the ink, and what transfers the ink, the sublimation ink, to your blank is heat. So whenever you're using sublimation, you have to use a high heat setting in order to transfer that image from the paper onto your blank. Now, can you only use a sublimation printer to do that? You can also use sublimation ink pens, which this little design was done using a print design. It's just a color book design and then colored in with sublimation ink pens. You can also use infusible ink transfer sheet. So that is a pre-printed sublimation page that you can cut into any shape using your digital cutter, and then using heat, transfer that image onto your blank. Now, the way that sublimation differs keenly from your vinyl designs are the sublimation ink actually infuses within your blank. So you do have to use special blanks, and the special blanks have a coating that are designed for the pores of that surface to open up when heated. The ink transfers into those open pores and becomes one with your blank, whether it's a t-shirt, fabric, hard surface, anything like that. So when you use sublimation, you can't feel the design on your mug. So this is like one with your mug. The benefit to that is this can go in your dishwasher, and that design is not going anywhere. You're going to lose the mug before you lose the design. That's kind of what I always say. So once you infuse your design into your mug, it becomes one with that mug. Now, this is one of the mugs we're going to be working with, and this is a brand new mug at Michael's. And I've heated up my water because I want to show you how fun this mug is. I don't know if I got my water hot enough, but this is a color changing mug. So I've got a design on this mug. Did I get my water hot enough? Maybe. We'll see. I've got a design already printed on this mug. As the hot water changes the color of the mug, that design will start to appear. So I'm just going to set that on my mug press here. I don't think I got my water hot enough. We'll see it change probably. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about how you want to create your design. So basically what we're doing is creating our design, printing it out, and then transferring it onto our mug. To print your design, you can use a couple different ways. Sawgrass has an entire design studio within their software. So you select your mug shape, put your design on the mug shape, and then print it out. So I'm going to show you that first. So let's go into sharing my screen with, let me pull that up here. I'm going to share the My Sawgrass portion of the screen with you. Find one here. How about that? Let's share my screen again. Sorry, guys, I'm having trouble showing all of my my screens here. Finding the right screen to share with you. Okay, let's just go into, let's see if I can do it. Nope. Weird. All right. Sorry, Felicia. It's just not showing the screen that I want to show. Which is unusual.
No problem.
So I'm just going to show this one, and then I'll just go into to open up the Sawgrass. So Sawgrass Inc. is your website for designing, and you need to have an account with Sawgrass Inc. to do this. When you come in, you go to My Sawgrass, and this will open up your studio space. So I'm going to go into design and start my studio. And here you can see you have a lot of different options on what type of mug you're going to work with. So if you're doing, say, like this color changing mug is at 11.8 ounces. So you can either choose this mug and then check your sizes and make sure you got the right sizes. If you upload artwork to the software, you can use your own artwork here by uploading it. They also have an entire library of designs that you can use, which is great because all of the artwork in the library of Sawgrass is all royalty. You can use it to resell. So they've already figured all the royalties. So you just grab your design and you select it the size that you need it. So let's say we're going to make it that size there. Center it on your design, and then you're just ready to print it. Now, the cool thing about Sawgrass is if you save your design, you give it a name. So let's say this is PSL Party, and we're going to go ahead and do that. And then you give it a description. There is a marketplace on the Sawgrass website. So if you make mugs and sell them, then you can direct your customers right to this website and sell directly from the website. Sawgrass does all of the work on the back end for you. All you have to do is make the product and send it out. They give you a shipping list, a packing label, and everything. When this design is done and you're ready to print it, let's give it a nice little name, PSL Party. You can give it a description. It can be customized. So if somebody wants to add a name to it, you can add a name. It does give you a set starting point on the price, and then you can increase your price higher or lower if you want to, and post it for sale. When you're ready to print your design, you just hit print. I'm going to stop share here, and you'll see this little bar moving across there. It will transfer over, and then it goes into the software that is designed to print your work. And this is a really key part here. So I've got this design all set up to go on my black mug here. In this design, what you can do in their print software is you can manage your printer, make sure everything's looking good. You can change the size of your design if you want to. You can put it on separate pages, make repeats of it. So if you are printing 5 or 6 of a design, you can go ahead and do that. Sorry, it's going, let's come back here if I can. I have a lot open. I don't usually have this many tabs open, but I know I have a lot open right now. Okay, so here's my witch again. So I can add more to it. Then when you select what you're printing to, so I'm going to print this to a ceramic drinkware, and I want to change it to vibrant color. If it had a photograph, I could choose photograph. What this, the print utility does is it automatically sets up your color for what you're printing on. So if I were printing on metal or if I were printing on glass, it would change the color settings. It automatically will mirror your page if you want, and then you can center your page on your product. I'm doing it on ceramic. It's going to be letter size, and then all I have to do is hit print, which my print button is hiding down here for me. Let's see if I can get that to come up. Print, there we go. So we're just gonna go ahead and print that right out onto my printer. Let's stop share. Okay, so that's all I have to do, and then it's gonna communicate. Hopefully I've got everything plugged in, and it'll send it right over to my printer, and it will print out my design right to my printer. And here it comes now. Now is my mug is kind of starting to change. I'm gonna switch out I set my water to boil, so I really want to make sure I have enough hot water in here so you guys can really see the color change that's gonna happen. It's really cool. And you will see it when you will see it when we heat it up, but look at that. There's the little guy, there's my little pumpkin. So the black goes away. That's why I picked this design with the scary witch on it, because somebody's gonna think, oh, I'm just getting a cute little black mug, whatever, it's your standard mug size. And then we're gonna put this scary witch on her. So why don't we go ahead and I'll come over to my overhead camera and we'll get this set up to go into our mug press. While I'm doing that, I am going to plug in my mug press and get it to heat up. Sorry. I don't know about you guys, but I always lose my cord. So I thought this might be a good class to show these. I picked these up in the Target dollar spot a couple years ago. And they always come out with different ones each year. They'll be a little bit different, but it's just a felt cord holder. And I used my Cricut and put mug press on it. So I have one for each of my different devices, if it's, whatever device it is. And then I put that plug in here and I have these all stored together. So I know right where my plug is. I know right where my plug is. Okay, there's my pumpkin. She's all aglow. Now that mug is completely turned white. So we're going to set that there. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in and then, yep, thanks, Felicia. I'll be right there with you on the overhead. All right. Now, when I come to my overhead, I have my black mug here and I have my printout. I actually have two printouts here. So we're just going to use one of these. In my Cricut, I did cut out a template for a mug. And the reason why I did that for this mug and the larger size, it's not so much for the white mug, but this mug, when you, and you're not gonna be able to see it because my mug has changed colors, but my tape, you want to use heat resistant tape on your design. And when I did that, the tape peeled off some of the black paint underneath here. So whatever surface painting is on here, when my tape went directly on this and heated up, it peeled that off. So I made a template, and I'm going to show you why in a minute, but this template should fit underneath that handle and give me the space I'll need to tape it together right there and keep my tape from touching directly on the black. And I kept my cutout of my tape. So we're going to see why. All right. Now, what you need to do when you're getting started, your blank is you're getting your blank ready, is you want to prep your blank. So what we're going to do is use a lint-free cloth and just some alcohol. I have this little squeezy bottle I keep with alcohol in it, and just spritz that right on your blank here. The reason that you're doing this is you want to make sure that there is no lint or, dog hair or human hair or anything, pet hair that can get between your printout and your surface. If there were, a lint or hair that went across my mug, when I put my design on it, anything that is between your printout and your blank will prevent the ink from transferring. Now, on a black mug like this with such a black background, maybe it wouldn't be a big deal. But if I had if you were doing a photo and you had just a fine hair across the photo, you would see a line because the ink would not transfer onto your surface. So like vinyl, if you're doing it with vinyl, that's not such a concern. But with this, we want to make sure we've got it cleaned off. So you just go ahead, get it cleaned off, and I'm just going to let it dry. I'll set it aside to let it dry, and then we'll get this set up. So I've used my small mug template to make sure that it's going to wrap on my mug. And I actually have a cutout because I want to make sure that I have that space underneath my design on the side here to wrap it around. If I cut this just in a rectangle, I will lose those pieces that I need to go underneath. So I'm just going to take this and with a pencil or pen, it doesn't really matter. We're going to outline that design so that I can hand cut the edge here. So I'm just going to just sketch that out like that. And oops, my pencil ink. Here we go. We're just going to sketch this out like this. Okay. So now I know where that's going to be. Now you can trim this with a paper trimmer. I kind of like to I use both. I'll use a paper trimmer or I'll use a clear ruler and a rotary cutter. The reason I like to use the clear ruler is you can really see where that edge is going to be cut. So with a paper trimmer, sometimes, you get a really good cut and a really straight cut, but it's sometimes hard to see that center line. So if you just use your paper trimmer, you may, not have your design cut off properly. You may cut too close or too far. So using your clear ruler, you can line that right up on the edge and see exactly where you need to trim. So would you like to do that? And then I'll just, trim off the ends here. Like this, we'll just get a nice straight line going there. And another straight line going here. Now you can also use, we are using the Cricut Mug Press today, but you could use your convection oven. If you have a craft convection oven, you can use that to heat this design up. You can also use a tumbler press. I'm trying to think, somebody said something the other day. Oh, somebody using it was telling me they use their air fryer, but they have an air fryer. If you use a convection oven or an air fryer, you need to have it exclusive for crafting. You don't want to use an air fryer that you then go cook chicken in. So if you're going to do something like that, you want to keep it exclusive for crafting. I have a little white edge there, so I'm just going to trim that off really closely. Not that it matters. I don't think that's going to affect my transfer or anything like that, but I just want to have a nice clean edge to work with. We'll just trim that right off. Okay, so once that's trimmed off, I've got my design is ready to go, and I've got my tumbler my mug is prepped. I've given it a nice clean start. So we're just gonna get one more little wipe down, make sure nothing's on there. And then we're ready to apply our design onto our mug. Now, to do this, you do want to use heat tape. So you want to make sure you're using like a heat tape that that can take the heat of your mug press. Okay, so I've got my mug press upside down. You can see this is the lip, this is the bottom. So I'm going to turn my design upside down and start centering it on my mug. So by that, I mean, it'll be a little bit to the right here. Just a hair, leave that there. And then a hair to leave that there. So I can make sure I've got it lined up properly. We're going to make sure that there's no gaps, no air gaps around the outside of our mug. So you want to make sure that you're going to pull that really tight when you're ready to tape it on. So I've got my tape here. I'm going to grab my tape from my tape dispenser. We'll put a little piece right there. Okay, and we'll slide that underneath. Oops. Okay. Then we're just gonna really pull, make sure our paper's lined up, and then give that paper a really nice pull, and you wanna make sure it's nice and tight around. If it's not, you can undo it. You can always undo it and come back and add more. Now, I would not tape right here, because if you put a piece of tape, I learned on the black color there, you will lose the color. So we don't want to do that. So I'm just going to put my tape right here all the way around. If you want to tape onto the inside, you can tape from the outside in. But again, I'm not even going to do that on this particular mug. Usually I would tape all the way around and really make sure that it's tight. If you wanted to, you could put like, there's the wraps, the mug wraps that shrink wrap this on there and will make it really nice and tight. You can put that on there so that you know it's tight. Let me just push that to the top there. So I'm making sure I'm on paper down over the edge there. Don't want to damage my stuff again. Just pull that up. Okay, there we go. Now, once my heat press is all set up and ready to go, I've got it on. It should be warming up for me. Okay, good thing. It just beeped at me and said it was ready to go. Now all I need to do is, we're going to take a piece of butcher paper. And your butcher paper is going to wrap around your mug. The butcher paper is considered blowout paper. So what that means is if your design comes through the paper, it could transfer onto your mug press. So you want to use just a little barrier piece around your mug so that it won't, the design won't come through onto your mug press. So we're just going to put that in there, push this over the edge. This also will help your paper stay a little bit tighter. And then we'll just put it on the bottom. You can always add extra tape here if you want to make sure it's going to stick together and make it easier. You can just add your tape here. Normally, I would tape right across the mug, but with this one, this color changing mug, I'm just being a little bit cautious not to tape on the black. Okay, so there we go. Now I've got that ready to go. It's all set to go in my press. So I can go back over the main camera, Felicia, if you want, and show this one going into the press. Okay, great. All right. So all you have to do is we're just going to slide this into the press. You just want to make sure that your mug handle is in the middle of that press. Let me bring this up just a smidge. Your mug handle's in the middle there, and as you close it, you want to make sure that it maintains the middle position. So you have to just wiggle it a little bit left or right. But we're going to push that right in there. It's going to hold it in there, and it's ready to go. Now, on the top, you have these little dots that will go across and let you know when it's finished. I do recommend doing this in a well-ventilated area so that you can, any fragrances that come out, any fumes that come out, they go out the window. So you do want to do this in a well-ventilated area and ready to go. Okay, now while that's heating up, why don't we go into Design Space, and I'll show you how you can design a mug in Design Space. And again, if you have any questions as we're going through, please do not hesitate to pop those into the Q&A, and we can answer those questions for you. All right. As you can see, I have a couple templates on my screen. The next mug I'm going to work with is going to be the 15-ounce straight mug. So I'll go ahead and highlight that. Now, if you wanted to have, a scallop on the edge or something like that, you could simply go into Images and do a search for mug, I think it's mug, what was it? Mug Designs under all images, and you're just going to find the mug size that matches your mug. So if you were to do, this is a 12-ounce mug, this is a 12-ounce mug with a a ripped edge. So if you wanted to add that to your canvas, we'll just add that onto our canvas and then give it a look. You can see this one, when it cuts it out, it will cut it out with that jaggedy edge there, okay? So all you have to do is where this gray space is in your design, that's the space that you have to design with. So you can just go in and grab different images that you want. Let's do that one. That's cute. We can add that to our canvas. Give that a look. So if you wanted to do this, we just would resize it down. Oh, that's a banner. Let me grab something else. Let's do like a ghost. Let's do ghost, skeleton, pumpkin. I didn't choose ghost because ghosts are white. So I didn't want to have white because we're using the sublimation. So we really want it to be cute. So what if we did some pumpkin spice stickers like this? We can add that in. Since we're printing, you're doing basically a print and cut. You can choose any of the printed print and cut images to work onto your mug. And if you wanted to, you could add your text here. Where'd my text go? Oh. I think it went down low. Here we go. So if you have a favorite pumpkin spice recipe, or you just put a name on there. Let's just put a name, change that to a cute little font. There's so many cute fonts. I always get caught up in all the different fonts that are available. Right, you guys. But let's just say we do it like that, and then you can come on in and change your colors. So this is a 2-layer font, so you're going to need to change 2 colors. So we'll just change that to, let's find a color on here. Oh, that doesn't have colors. Okay, I getcha. There we go. So we'll do maybe like a nice light color there, and then go a little darker brown maybe, like that. Okay, so then you use this rectangle space to line this up how you'd like it to be. We can, make our little cup crooked. Everything looks cute. Now we'll take the name and take the image, and we're going to attach those together, and then, we're going to flatten those 2 layers. So I've got my name and my fall coffee. We're going to flatten that so I can print that out. So this is how it would print out. Now I will turn off this gray on the background. That's how we want it to print out. Unfortunately, if you see that I have that gray turned on and I do a print then cut, you'll see that little red arrow there, or that little red exclamation mark. That's telling me that my print area is too big. So if I turn that off, let me turn that off so that I just have this as my print area. When I say make, I'm ready to print it. So I'm going to just go ahead and print this off. Now you may want to move this to the center of your page so that you can, we're actually not going to come back and cut it. We're just going to print it. One thing that I didn't care for in Design Space was it puts this black box around my design, I think, when I print it. So let's check this out. Maybe it does, maybe it's not there. So we're going to send this to the printer. Sorry, it doesn't put it there. We're going to send that to the printer, but it does put the registration marks onto your design. So that's one thing to keep in mind, why it's better to do it in the Sawgrass, unless you can enlarge your design to move these print edges out further. Then you just select which printer you'd like to use. We're going to use the Sawgrass SG500, or we can send it to the Sawgrass print utility. And then we'll print that out. Now, if I were doing this, I would trim around where those print marks are. Let's stop share here, and I'll show you the print utility. I have my computer in front of me as I'm looking down. I did go ahead and print one out that we can use. So we'll be able to show the larger size that's not the color changing. But I thought it would be important for you to see how this is going to turn out and what you can do if you did want to use that on a mug. you can design in Photoshop and Canva, any system that you're designing in now, you can design in and send it to the Sawgrass print utility, and then it will be ready to print up. So I just heard my little thing tell me it's ready to go. Let me pull out my pad. So I've got a pad, and you want to make sure that you have your gloves on. So let's open it up. And this will be very, very hot. So it's smoking. So it's really hot. You don't want to touch it with your bare hands. So we're just going to remove the paper, and then if you want to, you can, I will use sometimes my pick to like kind of pick this off. But I think we're, yeah, I probably need to let it cool for just a minute here. And then we'll be able to take that off. Let's see if I can, I'm wondering if I can grab my other gloves and give it a 2-glove try here. So I have 2 gloves, then I can hold one and pull the other one off. I like to remove my print when it's hot, my paper when it's hot. If you let it cool, the transfer process, the paper can just stick to your mug, which it will wash off with warm water. So don't, if that does happen, you haven't ruined anything. It'll wash right off. But this is kind of a fun way to like see those results right away. You do kind of want to let it cool off just a smidge, but look at this, how it's coming out. I don't have any fingernails to get under here like this. It's right there. We go. So I'm just going to peel that off and look at that. Now, as this cools, we're going to start to see this image disappear. So remember that. I'm just going to let it set it aside. We'll let it cool off, but this image will start to disappear for us.
Hey, Kesley, while it's still warm, can you move over to your overhead so we can let them see it from your overhead?
Oh, sure, yes. It's got that glare on there. Let me see if I can. Isn't that fantastic? The detail in that is crazy. If you were to print this out, I mean, if you were to use, you could never do something like this with vinyl and get this detail. But I think this is so cool. Let me see if I can hit my focus.
Oh, yeah, that's very detailed.
Isn't that great? And how scary, like you just think you're getting a cute little black mug, and nope, it's got a nice little witch on there for you.
So quick question, I'm not for sure if you answered it or not, but there is a question asking, would you be able to have a copy of the template made for the mug?
What do you mean?
So I'm incorrect if I'm incorrect, if you could just rephrase it, but I think they're asking for the template. If you could provide them with the template.
For this template?
Yes.
It's in Design Space. So it just depends on which mug you're using. So if you're using this is the 12-ounce mug template, and then this is the 15-ounce mug template. Now you can adjust it. So what I would do if you want to just cut out the template, like depending, every mug is different. So you can take, like, I think this is the Cricut 12-ounce mug. And that's the size basically I use for the 11-ounce mug. But if you measure it, it may be a little bit, different size around here, like it may be 9 inches or 8.5 inches. So if you can resize that image in Design Space and get like the right size mug. This is another one of my favorite mugs. I did this one last year with this little reindeer, and then I have a recipe on the back for a peanut butter toddy. So if I'm like, oh, would somebody make me a peanut butter toddy? I've got the recipe on the back. I don't even have to tell them how to make it. So that's a really great fun thing. Good gift ideas. You can put like little drinks in there, stuff like that. Okay. So if I didn't answer that question correctly, please drop that in there. And Felicia, thank you for asking. All right. So now we're ready for just the 15-ounce white. I'm gonna move, let's see, where can I move this so we can watch this turn colors. I should have had some ice to put in here, some ice water. But we'll see. She'll change colors. Okay, so I have my 15-ounce design here. So if we can go back over to the overhead, we'll do this cute little cow. All right.
And
So
before
we
you
got
get to
this
that,
one here.
there's a couple of other questions that have come through.
Oh yeah.
So on your cup, because there's some additional blank space or white space on the cup, if someone wanted to make it closer to the handle, what would they need to do?
You just would need to make your design wider. The reason that you have that white space on the cup is when you put it in the mug press, it doesn't always necessarily go all the way to the edge here. So like, let me see, you'll always have the edge. So on this one, for example, I have this nice crisp edge here, but then it's a little bit blown out over here. And that's just because when the mug press closes around it, you really have to have it centered in that mug press to get this really crisp line. So if you leave a little bit of that white space, that will give you that tough line. If you wanted to try and get your design to go all the way around and cover it, then you would need to use it in a convection oven and shrink wrap around it. But even then, it might give you a little bit of a fuzzy edge there on your shrink wrap. I know it's tricky.
Back to that template. They found the template, but for someone else that may be looking for the template, can you tell them how to find it again?
Sure. Let me share my screen again. Actually, you know what? Let me make this one up and we'll put it in the mug press. And while that's heating up, I will show that screen and show you how to find it. So the next one we're going to do is this 15-ounce Make Market mug. And this one, I just am going to use the rectangle size because I don't have to worry about my tape getting in the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim this down to the rectangle size that I need. So we'll just use our straight edge here. And we'll just trim this right down. Let's go this way first. So I think in the Michael's aisle with the sublimation, there's a new little measuring tool that wraps around your mug and allows you to get a really easy and good circumference measurement. So it's like it's a cute little handheld tape measure that wraps around the mug. And that would definitely help because it does, each mug is a little bit different when you use it. So you do want to make sure that you have a mug that has the right, your template has the right circumference and height that you need. And I'll show you again, as Felicia asked, as you guys asked, I'll show you how to find that template and how to resize it for your mug if it's different than the mug it is. So right now what I do is just take a regular tape measure and measure it. So let's just see this one. This is a 15-ounce special sublimation mug. So you can't just use any ceramic mug. It has to have that polyester coating on it, which the polyester coating is what absorbs your heat, your ink from your design. So you really need to make sure that you've got that polyester coating on there. So we're just gonna give it a little clean here. And I use the isopropyl alcohol on this. Just give that a little clean there. And you'll see, I will tape this up more, but I'm really impressed with how clean that last design came off. Sometimes when you go right to the edge there, it's a little bit trickier to get it to stay sharp on the edge of your design. So a little bit on the inside there. Okay, so I've got my design, I've got my little heifer here. She's gonna go on the mug. So I'll just center that on there. And then we're just gonna wrap it around. At the handles, this is where that white space comes in. So you do want to make sure that your design is evenly placed on your mug. So you kind of want to make sure that you have that space on either side. If you want to, you can grab your tape measure and just make sure that you have the same space. It's about 1/4 of an inch on each side. And then I do push my design to the top edge of my mug. So I have a little bit of extra and I push that design to the top edge so that if I wrap it over the edge, it will print onto that space of the white. Then you want to go ahead and put your first piece of tape down to hold that paper in place. And then you really are going to give that a nice pull and a wrap. And again, just double check if you need to adjust it. So if I'm a little bit closer there than there, I'm just going to adjust my placement here. Just a smidge. Put that down. Give it that nice pull. The pull is key. And I do a lot of mugs, so I did invest in this tape dispenser. This is from Amazon, and it holds 3 rolls of narrow tape and then 1 roll of big tape. If you're just getting started, Michael's has a great collection of different brands of heat press tape that or heat resistant tape that you can use. Sorry. Get that going. All right, there we go. And then you can, as you're getting started too, does make it a bit easier if you use something that will hold your mug. Struggling here, guys. But if you use like a little caddy that will hold your mug, a lot of times I just put down face cloths to balance it so it doesn't roll on me. So I'll put a face cloth on either side. Okay, so there we go. That looks good placement there. I'm going to add another piece right on this edge here. So I have something to pull on. And we'll add one more piece up here. Again, just so I have something to pull on. So then we're just going to roll that across, give it a nice pull. Make sure everything's out of the way. Give it a nice pull there and bring it right across your mug. Just like that. Okay. Just in. So we're just gonna go there. All right. Now this is where how I normally would tape my mugs. I'll grab a long piece of this wider tape here, put it on the top, and start working it down. Now, if I need to, if you have any gaps here, you can always pull this off and push it back down. So as I put that on, I want to make sure that there's no gaps. I have a little bit of gap there, no gap on this side. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very carefully take this tape off here, and we're just going to push it over and make sure it's tight. Again, the reason that you have to be so careful on this part, it's like the old adage of cut once, measure twice, cut once. So you just want to make sure you got that nice and tight. Here we go. Did we get any clarification on that question if I answered it right? And then we're just going to push
I
this
did,
over.
and she did say that you did answer her question.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay.
And so when you're ready, we do have a couple of more after that.
Okay, go ahead while I'm just taping this up. That'd be great.
Okay. So one of the questions is asking, of course, can they use a different heat cup transfer? And what is the temperature?
So when you ask if you can use a different heat cup transfer, are you asking if you can use like different types of sublimation? Absolutely. You can use infusible ink transfer paper to do that. The mug press from Cricut, now that might be a problem, that little wrinkle there. The Mug Press from Cricut does its own heat settings. If you are using a convection oven, different mugs will have different settings. So for example, on the Make Market, you can scan this code, this QR code, and it will take you to a link that has all of the temperature settings for you. So that'll give you everything you need as far as the specific temperature for that specific mug. So I noticed like on my heat transfer mug, the time was a little bit longer, but the temperature was lower. So I think it was like 385 degrees for 10 to 12 seconds when I did it in the convection oven. That's a great question. Okay, I'm just a little bit worried about that wrinkle there, but I may be too far in the process to fix it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I had a little bit of a wrinkle there. I'm just pulling up on my tape and my paper to bump out that wrinkle. Now, if I were doing this on a tumbler and I had my seams matching, I would make sure that I rub on the seam and try and get the seam, the two pieces of paper to match as closely as I can there and push that down so that that goes right on the seam. You can usually do your tumblers. Like this is a tumbler. This was just the front of the tumbler here. So I just had a front design, but it was a cream. It was a cream background. This tumbler starts off white. So you can see that seam on the back just a little bit. This is another tumbler that you can see just a little bit of that seam there. But when you push those papers together, had this pattern, been designed to match up, I don't think you would have seen as much of that seam, but this pattern wasn't designed for that. So it didn't do that. Okay, I've got my mug all taped up. I'm going to use my butcher paper again and just wrap that around my mug. And Felicia, if you don't mind, if you can go back to the front facing with your camera, we'll put this back in and I can answer more questions as you guys have them. So we're just going to put this one in. It takes just a couple minutes. Again, I want to make sure that I get that handle in the middle. So you see this gap. This is where your handle goes. And as you close this, that space closes. So, and it moves it. So as you close it, that space closes, but your handle moves to the right. So what I like to do when I put it in is you're going to put it in and get if you tilt it in like that, it goes in nice and easily with your paper. And then I'm going to kind of like move my handle because I know as it closes, it's going to push it that way. So I've kind of got it pushing that way in the middle, and we're going to let it close. So now it will automatically start to heat up and transfer over. I really want to go get some ice for this so we can see how it goes. But let's see if there were more questions that you guys had. Oh, I know. You wanted to see that template. All right, so let me just check these questions. Should we always have a design printer strictly for sublimation and crafting? Absolutely. If you are doing any kind of sublimation, you have to have a printer dedicated to sublimation. I really like the Sawgrass 500. The Sawgrass company, they specially formulate their ink. They're a US-based company right in Charleston, South Carolina. They have been in business 35 years, I think, but they specially formulate their ink. So you get the highest quality ink and their paper, you get the highest quality paper. So I know that you can take a different type of printer and add sublimation ink to that printer, but sublimation ink is different than your regular printer ink. So if you're doing sublimation, you absolutely have to have a separate printer for it. And if you're selling mugs or you're making a lot of mugs or t-shirts, like this is a cute little tote bag I use sublimation on. I made the tote bag. You can do, you can sublimate on ribbon, on polyester fabric. So if you're making, if you're in the cheer bow business, the sublimation is great. Or if you're just making cheer bows for fun, sublimation is a great way to go. You can do sublimation on woods. There's hardboards, ornaments. I mean, the sublimation just opens up a whole new world for you that is beyond what your vinyl cutter can do. But yes, you do need to have it. You do need to have it separate. So if you're doing it in a convection oven, you have a plastic sleeve that goes onto that sleeve. And then it you shrink wrap it on there and it tightens around that design. Now, in the sublimation oven, it does allow you to do so many different things. Like your mug press, you're really limited to the number of sizes of different mugs that you can do, 12, 15 ounces, the 11-ounce stacked mugs. But in a convection oven, you can do like these little glass tumblers like this. Now you can also do these in a tumbler press. But in a convection oven, you can do things like that. You can do, it's easier to do wine tumblers, like these little cute wine tumblers go into the convection oven style. I have, this is this was a fun one we did this summer for the Olympics. It's a koozie holder. So you just have to take out that plastic ring and you put it in a shrink sleeve. You shrink the sleeve and then it goes right into your convection ovens. I think we may have to do a class on just that. What you can make in the convection oven, but like you can do pens in the convection oven. Craft Express has a great convection oven. That's the one I use that allows you to control the temperatures and everything. It's really good. Keila, I'm not sure of the price point on the Sawgrass. You'd have to go on the Michael's website and get your pricing for that. I'm not sure what I'm not like, I don't know if it changes or I'm not sure what it is. So I don't want to say a price and then have it and then be wrong on it. I'm trying to think of like all the other things you can do. So flat wise on your sublimation printer, you can make koozies, you can do flat ornaments, you can do hardboard. So like this cute little sign here, I got at I think at the dollar store, and you can sublimate on this because it has like a polyester coating on it. Let me see if I have another thing over here that we made. Okay, so this was a fun class, and this is on, not this class, but if you wanted to do like a weekly menu, this is a just a wood board with the plaque on it. It's designed for sublimation, and you can use it as a dry erase board, but you can see all the detail in this design versus what you can do with your like a vinyl cutter. So with a vinyl cutter, you can still make a cute little menu board like this one. But then if you have a sublimation, you can really do more. If you want to go to the overhead, I'll show the detail of this. And this was our witchy mug. So you can still see it a little bit. It's not quite cooled off completely, but you can see it's disappearing. So we'll let it keep cooling. But this is the weekly menu that was done with sublimation, and it's just a little piece of metal that is done in a flat press. So you can use your easy press or an auto press, and you just press out. That detail is amazing. And so you could do this with different colors. You can add, vinyl stickers, more vinyl design like flowers and things like that. But given the comparison of what you can do with your sublimation printer over vinyl, this is it's just amazing. I can't tell you enough how much it will open up your entire world to what you can create. Okay, we're ready to pull out our next one. We want to go back to the okay, sorry, making you work, Felicia.
It only works well when your mouse decides to cooperate with you.
True. All right, so here we go. We've got another one. It's hot, smoking hot. Let's put this one out of here. Again, same thing. We'll just remove we'll move our tape from here. I don't want to burn myself today. It's not on my agenda. It's not on my bingo card today to burn myself, but I feel it coming. So if you have kids, I do not recommend using the mug press around young children because everything gets so hot. But this is a fun project to do with kids so that they can design their own mug. So you can see so in a convection oven, even in a convection oven, you may still get a little bit of that ghosting there. on the side. And that's only because like in the mug press, it doesn't completely hold that area, doesn't get heat. That makes sense.
And
So
Cassie, once
you
you
might
get
want to
through,
put your mug in the mug press and see where that heat's going to be coming from.
once you get through peeling, can you show them what the transfer paper looks like compared to the actual image? Well,
Good
that's a great,
idea.
that's a great picture just right there.
Yeah, right here. So you can see how the, actually, you know what? Yeah, let me see if I have my witchy poo. So we've done away with our witch, she's gone away, but this was the printed version of it. So you can see it's a little bit muted. And then after it's transferred, the transfer really transfers onto your mug or whatever you're transferring onto. So when you print it out, you maybe think like, oh my gosh, the colors aren't right. It's not dark enough. I need to bump it up more. But you don't. That's a great thing. Like, look at how it just transfers right over. So there's a little heifer. Not fun. And I do think like if you do have your vinyl, you could always add a name on top of it or anything like that that you wanted to do. If you are in the resale of mugs, you may want to, and you do a convection oven, if you have a mug that doesn't have anything on the bottom. I'm trying to think, like I think my Cricut mugs have, oops, I dropped my water. The Cricut mugs have the Cricut logo on the bottom. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah, so see, this one has that Cricut mug, the Cricut logo on the bottom there. And that will, you can't do anything over that, but on this, you could put a design on the bottom with your company logo, like a QR code to your company or a website to your company, and then have people, they can just reach out to you that way to reorder or anything like that. So use that as a marketing tool. Okay. So let's see. You do want to remove, sorry guys, I just spilled my water, one of my waters. I just need to grab a towel. You do want to remove your QR code, your paper right away. A couple of reasons. One is if you leave it there, it could still be heating up, and then it could the color could still continue to transfer, and then that might create a ghosting situation because you don't have it clamped in anymore. So you do want to remove it right away. Which that's why you want to have those gloves to remove your paper right away so you can still hold your mug. It's really
Cassie,
hot.
can you explain what ghosting means?
Yes, so ghosting, when something ghosts, it'll do the image and then kind of shift and do the image again. So it'll give you a double image, and the second one will be a lighter color. It'll be a lighter shade of what you did. So that's when your image shifts, it creates ghosting. That's why we use so much tape, because as you're putting your mug into your mug press and it's moving, you don't want the paper to start heating up and the mug to start heating up and that transfer process to start happening and then move it again. So a lot of times I'll see somebody do like use a little mini press on a smaller project, and they're moving their press back and forth. You want that heat just to stay right there. So you don't want your image to move around on you. So you can see I remove the paper right away. If you don't remove it right away, the only thing that happens is it'll kind of stick to the glass, and then it just comes off with warm water. Soap and warm water will come right off for you. So it's not too bad. Is there a way to get a design inside the mug? I think not right now that I know of. I'm sure that there may be, if you look on another market, you may be able to find something that would allow you to put the design inside the mug and then kind of like expand to hold it in place. I haven't tried it. I would say just try it. You never know. Like, you may be able to get it, because as you can see, the mug, the design does kind of wrap around the edge, and that design kind of does cross over the edge of your design, but I've never tried to put something inside. In the convection oven, I bet it would. So if you tried it in the convection oven, you might be able to do that, which would be cute, right? Like you'd be like, have a great day, right inside there, and then they see it a couple of sips down. All right, if there's no more questions, I think that's everything I had. I cannot see the pumpkin, the orange eyes were showing before. I can't see the design, so you can kind of see as your water goes away and your design creeps away, you see the color changing on it. And you know, let me just show you one more. Let's go to the overhead one more time, Felicia, because I can dump this water out, I think, and show you all. This is the mug. If we want to go to the overhead, this is the mug that I learned that you don't want on this particular mug, the tape to go. Let's see if you can see it. See that little mark there, and then even down here, there's a little mark. So I took my design, which is how I normally would do it. I took my design and I wrapped it on my mug. I'm trying to see if I have my template so I can show you. And I didn't show you where the template was. So I need to show you that template too before we scoot out, if anybody wanted to stay and see that. So with your paper here, you can see how that goes underneath the handle and you have room to tape it. I just did my rectangle, my printout as a rectangle, and let the tape go over that black part. So that's, and then when I pulled it off, it pulled the black color off. So this one's just for me, so it's not that big a deal. I'm like, it's just for me, so I'm learning with it. Someone's asking if the color changing mug is a Make Market. It is at Michael's. It's the Make Market Sublimation, and it'll say hot color change on it. So when you put hot temperature in here, the color will change for you. Okay, let me show you that template really quickly before we scoot out for the day. Let me share my screen here. Go here and go here. Okay, so if I go back, you were asking how to find that template. So in Design Space, if you go to Images and you type in mug, you'll start to see some suggestions, and you can just do mug design, mug patterns, but I do the mug designs up here, and that gives me all of the different types of templates for mugs. So you can just grab, you know, the 15 ounce, the 12 ounce, whatever size you need, and bring that onto your canvas. So once we add that to our canvas, if you've measured your mug, and let's say your mug is, let's get that on there. Okay, we'll take care of this. Get this. Okay, so if this is your template, so you can see the whole template size is 10.31 by 3.79. Let's say your mug is 4 inches tall. So we can just change the height of this whole template, the gray part and the cutout part, to 4 inches and resize that. If it is, let's say your width on your gray part where you want the design to go, let's check and see what size that turns out to be. So this is 4 inches by 9.25 inches about. Let's say you need it to wrap, let's say you need it to wrap 9.5 inches. So you need to add 1/4 inch to the overall design. So you go ahead and select the top layer here, which picks out both the cutout part and the internal part. And we're just going to bump that up 1/4 inch. So if I go up to 11 inches, it also changes the height because my proportions are locked. So if I unlock that, it'll say my height at 4 inches, and I can change my width to 11 inches. And that will modify the entire design. Then if I go back and just pick the gray part, we'll see how I did there. So it's 9.75 by 4 inches. So I need to go, I think I just add a little bit there. Let's add a little bit more. Let's make it 11.5. So you just kind of keep adjusting it until you get the width that you need to wrap around your mug and the height that you need it. So 9 3/4 inches by 4 inches is my gray part. Now, if you're going to cut that, remember when you send that to cut, it won't print it, because for Cricut to print it, it has to be 8.5 inches. Like it has to fit on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So you can't print it bigger than 8.5 by 11. And then you also have to accommodate the edges around it. And I did see a question about a less expensive sublimation printer. I don't know the prices of all the different printers that are out there. And if you take a regular printer and convert it to a sublimation printer, just keep in mind, if you do something like that, if you take like a regular printer and brand new, just put sublimation ink into it, you void the warranty on that printer. So if something were to go wrong with it, you're out the money that you spent on the printer. Also, Sawgrass has an entire education program helping you get up and running with your sublimation printer. So if you have trouble, you have one-on-one help with it. You also have online resources for learning how to not only print with it, but then also how to make with it. So you may spend a little bit more, but the whole package that you're getting with it, to me, is more valuable than going for a cost-saving method on a printer. So this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you could cheap out on it, but what you're getting with the whole package of it, it's worth it, I think. So I know it is an investment, so you kind of have to do your budgeting and say, okay, if I buy this printer, how many of these mugs do I have to sell? And if you do a little market with that little witch mug and show people how cool that is, if you start doing that in the fall, imagine during the holidays and things, that you can make mugs that reveal somebody's name or reveal a secret message to them. Something fun. Like, I know there was an Instagram trend a while ago where someone would have like their clear cup and fill it with coffee, and then as they added cream to it and the message turned like brown color, the person who's showing you this wants to have coffee with you. So you could do cute, really fun things, I think, with these, especially with the color changing. But then you've got all the different types of mugs, the glitter mugs. Doing something like this one with where people can color it in, I think that would give you a lot of options. And then you have all these other mugs that are available at Michael's to play with and create with, and then just everything else you can do with the sublimation printer. There is, I believe it's tomorrow night, there is a Q&A with Craft Express. So if you're interested in more of the blanks and the heat sources, you might want to check out that class. And I think there's a whole series of Q&As on the YouTube channel for Michael's with Craft Express. So I think that's everything, Felicia. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope I answered all of your questions. And it is the Sew Month in September for Michael's. We'll be having a class next Thursday on how to read a pattern. So if you want to join us for that, I'd love to see you.